If I cut a hole in the driver's seat, maybe I don't have to stop for bathroom breaks. So today I'm going to be working a little bit on the floor of the van, and I'll show you why. I've got a bit of rust that showed up underneath the pedestal for the driver's seat. It's this part right here. It's really the only place in the van where there was any perforation in the flooring. The rest of it is in really good shape. The reason why I think this happened is because this seam under here, which is in the footwell of the driver's side, had been popped in a previous accident. There was a fair bit of a gap there. Water was running down when it rained, following this line here. It would follow along this wiring loom into this channel here, would end up pooling there. And I think it's sat like that for years. So what I did was repair that seam just by filling it really with silicone. It's cured now, it's waterproof. I put some weather stripping underneath the hood in the engine compartment to stop water from dripping down the firewall and hitting that spot where it was leaking into the cabin. And now I'm gonna cut this piece of rust out and hopefully TIG weld a new piece in there. And I say hopefully TIG weld because I have a new TIG welder. I haven't used it. I'm not that good with TIG. I haven't had a lot of experience on it, and I need to get better at it. So suffer with me, please. So I'm going to start this off by marking off the area that I think I need to cut out. Geez, I need to be careful with my grinder, or I am going to melt my camera lens. Well, that's a lot thinner than it looks. I'm gonna have to cut back a little bit more metal. This stuff is like tissue paper, especially between the frames here. Almost there. One more chunk. Unfortunately, this had turned into a bigger job than I had anticipated because of the amount of rust. I had to keep cutting back metal, rust in this case, to the point where I actually got good metal to weld to, and it's turned into a bigger patch. Now, I've just painted on Naval Jelly around the rusty areas to try and stop that. I'm gonna leave it on overnight, and tomorrow I'll come back to this and cut out a piece of steel to fit in that hole. I only have stainless steel thick enough for the floor panel, so that's going to be interesting. It'll actually be a piece of stainless steel sheet of that same thickness going in there, but it should not matter. I was going to do it with my TIG, but I feel more comfortable doing it with my MIG just because of the clearances that I'm going to have. But I'm going to tackle that tomorrow, so tomorrow will be another day. And just like that, it's another day. We're well into January, it's raining, but I'm going to continue working on this patch panel for the floor. I left the naval jelly on. It's all dried now, so I'm gonna just wash that off before I take a piece of cardboard. And I transfer that shape onto the piece of steel I'm gonna weld into the floor to fix this. So one problem I have to deal with right now is that stud right there. These are the 4 bolt holes that the seat pedestal sits on and is bolted to the floor, and then the seats go on top of that. But this one sheared off when I was removing the seats. So what I'm gonna try and do is I'm gonna weld a nut on there and see if the combination of heat and me swearing and beating on it gets it out. And that worked like a charm. After trimming and test fitting and trimming and test fitting, and you get the idea, I have to pound flat the bead that's rolled in the floor so I get a straight edge to weld against. And finally, the welding can begin. Well, it's not my prettiest work, but it will do. That was a lot of stitch welding. The metal was pretty thin at certain points, and I had to take my welder right down to the lowest setting possible. And even then, I was still blowing through the material a little bit. But it's good enough. It's going to be covered with insulation and sound deadener and carpet. It's never going to rust again, at least this one small section of stainless steel plate. And I've got the seat holes ready to go, and I just have to fix the rust on the seat pedestals. But as far as this stuff is done, it's fixed. So that was fun. Got the floor patch panel in, ugly welded it. Should be fine. I'm happy. I can move on to the next thing, which is filling some holes in the floor and maybe get some flooring in. As always, thanks for watching.